Talked about the huge matchup in college football off the top of the show. Tennessee, up to number 6 in the country, will play host to number 3 Alabama Saturday afternoon, 2:30 on Rocky Top. You can watch the game over on News Channel 5. Huge opportunity for Josh Heupel and his team. Everybody around the program, all of the fans know it. It is going to be a wild atmosphere. The hype is growing already, and it's just Tuesday. As for Josh Heupel and his team, it's all about getting down to work this week and getting set for what is the biggest game of the season so far.
This is why you come to Tennessee and want to be in this league. Got a big time matchup this weekend. Really excited. Obviously, game day, SEC Nation, the environment that will be here on Saturday. Really excited about that, and our players have earned the right to build to get to this point to play a game like this. So preparation is going to be critical in this one. Alabama's really good. Offense, defense, special teams, they got really good personnel in all 3 phases of the game, and will obviously be a huge test for us. But our players are excited, and this morning was good preparation. Need to have a great week of practice and get ready to play our best football. So open it up.
A lot has been said about Tennessee. Praise Tennessee in ways that haven't been praised before. How will you deal with the messaging to your team about how to handle those expectations? Yeah,
the expectations that we should be concerned about are our own expectations. The reason our kids have gotten and continue to build and get better is because they've paid attention to the things that matter. This week, we got to prepare the right way. We got to practice well, and the playing part of it will take care of itself. So, the outside noise has no bearing on how we play, and let's go compete and be our best on game day.
Will Anderson's such a disruptor. What impresses you about his game overall?
Long, athletic. He's disruptive in the run game too. In the pass game, he's got the ability to play on an edge and cause havoc. And between their personnel being good enough to win a lot of one-on-one matchups, and then all their pressures and all their games up front, you got to do a really good job. In one-on-one matchups, and then you got to do a great job working together as all 5 guys.
As a coach, how rewarding is it? After the Florida game, one of the things that you were critical of your team was the 4-minute drill in the fourth quarter. And then I'm sure that got some work on the practice field, and you go out at LSU and you rattle off an 8.5-minute drive in that same situation. What does that say about your squad, and how good did that feel to see?
I like that we continue to get better. I told our players today, and I said at the end of last week too, our practices on the playing surface were really good last week. We continue to get better. This is what good teams do throughout the course of the season. Their focus, their urgency, their energy are all things that led to us playing the way that we did last Saturday. And so points of emphasis that our coaching staff has every single week, being critical of yourself, continuing to challenge yourself and grow, take coaching, has allowed us to continue to grow. The 4-minute drill, really excited about the amount of time that we were able to chew up and eat on the clock. Still want to go finish that drive too and punch it in, but there were a lot of positives during the course of that drive. Physicality, playing with technique, our running backs doing a really good job too.
Mike, then Eric.
Yeah, Josh, on Jalen McCullough, do you have an update on his status?
No, I don't. We learned of it, really late yesterday, and as we gather more information, then I'll have more for you.
Josh, the special teams really set the tone for obviously your offense and your team on Saturday. It's often the phase of the game that's forgotten about, but how gratifying and satisfying is it that your special teams made such a difference?
Yeah, 2 huge plays early in that football game. Brooksy being able to scoop that fumble up on the sideline. I don't think anybody understands how difficult of play that is, to be running full speed, have the ball come out last second, right on the sideline, be able to stay in, focus, catch it, get down and get hit. It's a great play by him. And then the punt return was a huge play, too. And great to see D out there. We've talked about him. I've talked about him. I have great trust and belief in him. But for him to go out and do it right away was awesome to see for him and the 10 other guys on that unit. So special teams is going to be critical in this one. Field position's critical. Obviously, what they're doing with their punt returner is special. And we got to do a great job on all of our cover units.
A couple of quick things, Josh. First off, the daily Cedric Tillman question. How is he doing, and how's
I was wondering if that was going to be the second question or how deep we'd get in. Cedric's doing good. This is part of the reason why he had the surgery is to try to be back for this one. He's continuing to progress over the weekend, and so we'll monitor him. And at the end of the day, our medical team, like I said last week, our medical team and Cedric will make the right decision for him now and in the future too.
And in terms of, regardless of what's going on with Jalen and all that, how do you feel about your depth situation there? We've seen a couple different guys there in that kind of strong safety spot. What are your options there?
Yeah, we feel good about the guys that have played at that position. We have flexibility in the secondary. Guys have been trained to play multiple positions. So we'll see as the week unfolds here, but have great trust in all those guys.
Just to follow up on that opening kickoff, how much of that, you said you guys had worked on that, how much of that was seeing the right look on tape, and was the sun a factor? Because it looked like the returner was kind of looking at
the sun might have been a factor. Just where it was at in the stadium was part of, the decision process for us if we had won the coin flip. But I can't tell you what exactly was the reason why he didn't catch it.
Why was Gerald Mincy unavailable on Saturday, and what's his status moving on?
He just wasn't available. We anticipate him being ready to play in this one.
On the flip side of that coin, just what did you see from J.J. Crawford out there on Saturday, especially when you went back and watched the film?
High-level execution. Did a good job in the run game. Combinations working with the guard in some of his man blocking. Did a really nice job in pass protection too. So, you saw we didn't change the way we played, the way we did anything. We got great trust in him.
Coach, with Byron Young, I think he had 1 sack through the first 4 games and had 2.5. Byron Young on Saturday. What can that do for him to finally get home and finish some of those plays?
Yeah, sometimes as a pass rusher, you don't always have control about the end result. You try to win your one-on-ones, you win your games that you're running with the interior guy, and you try to apply pressure to the quarterback. You can't always get home based on him getting rid of the football. But he's been consistent, violent, disruptive, playing with speed, playing with great urgency, energy, and was able to get home. A couple of huge plays in the football game for us. Changed the way the game was played. He's got great confidence. He continues to get better. His best football is still way out in front of him. He's a young football player, but continuing to get better, and his effort and how he's practicing is showing up in the way that he's playing.
Austin and Eric.
Coming into the year, you had some defensive linemen that just didn't have a whole lot of experience. Dominic Bailey, Bryson Eason. Can you speak to the level of play that Coach Garner's getting out of that group? Because it feels like they just are getting better and better every week.
Yeah, Coach G, Coach Eck with the Leos too. Those young players have really continued to grow, and a lot of those guys that you talked about just changed their attitude and the way they approach things. And I'm talking about in the off season, and because of those things, man, their purpose and the way that they practice every day is so different. And now they're gaining a bunch in just their level of play. They understand what we're doing. They understand the why behind it more. They're playing with a lot better technique. Coach G's done a great job of developing these guys. There's a huge difference from us a year ago at this time to who we are now up front across the board, just playing with great technique and understanding what we're doing, and that's allowing our guys to be extremely disruptive, to be able to win one-on-ones and pass protection, pass rush, but then also being able to make plays in the run game, snag off, and be disruptive.
Josh, defensively, what are the challenges?
A young defensive line going to be important on Saturday against Alabama. Of course, Bryce Young expected to return for the Crimson Tide, did not play in their win against Texas A&M, and the offense did not look the same. You got to think with him back, there's going to be a little bit more explosiveness to that Alabama offense. The question is, can Tennessee continue to score at the record pace it is scoring against a really good Alabama defense? And then if they can Alabama keep up? That's sort of the question for most people against Tennessee, the way the offense goes. But the Tennessee offense is going to face its biggest test of the season to date, by far, against Alabama and Will Anderson and company. Phone lines are open, 737-7767. We go line one. Say hello to Marty. Marty, good evening and welcome to SportsLine.
How's it going out there, man? You all right?
Good.
I just want to talk about Vandy, how they played the first half. They did good. And I want to tell all the players and all the coaches on Vandy is stay strong, keep working hard, and one of these days we're going to get there. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
One of these days.
All right, Marty.
We're going to get our home. We're going to get our home crowd back. We're going to get out. We're going to do it. I'm a Vanderbilt fan. I've been a Vanderbilt fan ever since I was a little bitty boy. So I'm pulling for Vandy,
Well, there you go, Marty.
Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, we'll hear from Clark Lee coming up in a few minutes, talking about their trip down to Georgia this weekend. And there is a lot of excitement about the Commodores and the direction they're going under Clark Lee. You've got an alum coming back to coach the program. It was a struggle in year one, but there's been obvious progress to this season. We'll see what they do against the Bulldogs, but there's no question. I mean, think about it this way. The over-under for Vanderbilt wins coming into the season was 2.5. They got to 3 wins in the first 4 weeks. So they're clearly ahead of schedule in terms of what the outside expectations were. And that's the process, especially at Vanderbilt. You got to build a program at a place like Vanderbilt. It is more difficult. Just being honest about it, it is more difficult to build an SEC football program at Vanderbilt because of the academic restrictions and considerations that you have to do there and the way the school is structured. It takes some time. But Clark Lee knows at least the challenges, and he knows the nuances to the program there. And so far, you got to like what you've seen from the Vanderbilt head coach. Let's say hello to Trent. Trent, good evening and welcome to SportsLine.
Yes, sir. I've always been a Tennessee fan. But my question is, how are they going to beat the unbeatable Alabama? They've not beat Bama in 15 years.
I mean, simply put, Trent, I don't know if they can, but if they can, it's the recipe they've used. They've got an explosive offense with a Heisman-type quarterback in Hendon Hooker, and if that offense gets going, and it's capable of getting going even against a defense as good as Alabama, this could be a shootout. And if Alabama has to score to stay with Tennessee, that's going to be an uncomfortable position for Nick Saban and Bryce Young and that Alabama team, because they haven't had to do that against Tennessee. In most of those 15 wins, they've dominated. And so if it becomes a game, all of a sudden you got to like Tennessee's chances.
Oh, well, I like their chances.
Well, good.
Don't tell my fiance that.
Well, I don't know what's going on there, Trent, but I can tell you that Tennessee fans have a reason to be excited about this game that they really haven't had for a decade and a half. I mean, in that 15 years, I can't even really – I mean, I guess there's the Kiffin game down at Alabama, but there are very few moments in that 15 years where you could go into the game thinking you had a chance and really had a chance at any point during the game. I think going into this week, Tennessee fans can legitimately look at it and say, we can win this game on Saturday at home. And I have a pretty darn good feeling that through much of the game and into the second half on Saturday, you're going to look at it and you're going to think, we can win this football game. I think it's going to be a great, great game. Now, whether Tennessee can actually win, I don't know. I think it's going to be a great game, though.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a great game.
All right, Trent, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right, buddy. We appreciate the call tonight, and have fun watching the Big Orange this weekend. It is going to be a lot of fun because let me tell you this. I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of college football stadiums. Some of the biggest in the country. I mean, the biggest in the country. And be it some really, really, really big games. The atmosphere on Rocky Top for a big game is second to none. I mean, you can argue that LSU or Penn State maybe is a little bit louder. You can argue that there are big games on other campuses more often. But in terms of the atmosphere on Rocky Top, when there is a big game for the Vols, it is really, really, really good. It is loud. The fans are passionate. They're knowledgeable. And they want it. And they back their team. And then you throw in the pageantry of the Vol Walk and the Vol Navy and everything else that goes around the game day traditions at Neyland Stadium, and it is a special thing. And unfortunately for Tennessee fans, the last dozen years, 15 years, there haven't been a whole lot of these days to look forward to. There have been some big games, but not enormous games. Well, there's a pretty good argument that Saturday's kickoff against Alabama will be the biggest game in Knoxville since the national championship season back in 1998. And that is why there is a palpable buzz throughout the state this week about this game. You could hear it in Trent's voice just a moment ago. He is fired up to watch Tennessee play Alabama, a team they've lost 15 straight to. But he's fired up because this team is different. Regardless of the result on Saturday, this team is different than anything we've seen from Tennessee in quite some time. And they have earned the opportunity to play in this game. They have earned the ranking to be number 6 in the country. And now they have the chance to show if they're maybe even better than that. And they have the chance to put themselves in the SEC championship hunt. And they have the chance to put themselves in the college football playoff hunt on Saturday afternoon. And that has everybody in this state fired up for what we're going to watch. And again, you can watch that game at 2:30 Saturday on News Channel 5. We'll take a break. When we come back, we heard the caller previous talking about his excitement about Vanderbilt. We'll hear from Clark Lee about that turnaround, about getting set for #1 Georgia this weekend. That's after we return here on SportsLine on News Channel 5+.